Everyone, thank you so much for coming today. We have a return guest, Merrill Chandler, fan favorite of Bria and our network. So Merrill Chandler used to be he's kind of technically is the co-founder of Lexington Law Firm. He was in the credit repair industry. He was tired and just fed up with the methods of credit repair because it really wasn't providing the outcome that he wanted to give his clients. So all of his inside knowledge, he went out and founded getfundable.com, which allowed people to get fundable, right? The credit score itself is just an arbitrary number until you actually do something with it. And he knew that. So he needed and wanted to get people real results with his Get Fundable method. And he's here to teach you all about that today. I went to one of his boot camps a few months ago and it was amazing. He helped me register my business name. I've learned tips on when I'm going to buy my next car and when I buy my home. So it works for people who are in the real estate investing business, people who are entrepreneurs, and his methods also work for regular lay people. So I hope that you get something out of it. I know I did. I always gobble up Merrill Chandler's teachings. So I'm really happy to have him with us. Thank you so much, Merrill, for coming back.
Super happy to be here. So excited. It's always so fun. Bria, we've been doing this, Anish and I have been doing this for 8 years now. So
Yep. And he's a good friend of Anish. So he's part of the family at this point. Alrighty, so we're gonna
see you in 2022 again. So don't
you're
not getting rid of us.
Yes, and it seems, we need to talk about whether you're doing in-person events. We'll get in touch after. Alrighty, so some upcoming events that are not in person is going to be our deals and more deals recap of 2021. We have some big announcements. We're going to do a whole recap of what it was like for our network, for Anish, for CEO, for mentor students, what 2021, the trials, tribulations, and successes of it. Make sure to stay tuned for that. It's going to be Wednesday, December 1st at 7 p.m. That's our monthly meeting. And we are back with in-person events starting January 5th, 2022. That'll be our first one. That's going to be our launch. Stay tuned for more details. We're going to be hosting that at a hotel in Fort Lauderdale. I don't know if we could announce the name yet, Alexa, but stay tuned for that. We're going to be sending out so many emails. We'll talk about that more in our monthly meeting. So I hope we get to connect in person and we get to, share the energy face to face. Your member benefits are going to be really helpful in 2022 because you're going to get access to discounts to our events, and some events you may even be able to come in for free. So we're going to be making more announcements about our membership benefits coming up in those next meetings. So again, stay tuned with your emails, come to our next webinars. We also have our benefits package through National RIA. So you get deals and discounts not only with our meetings, but with corporate vendors as well. So we'll be talking more about that soon. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Some of our sponsors are the corporate vendors that you get deals and discounts through National RIA. So thanks so much. We wouldn't be here without them. And we honestly wouldn't be here without you, all of our members. So thanks for coming to our events, staying true and loyal. We're really glad and appreciative to have all of your support. And Alexa, did I miss anything else?
Nope. Just listen to what Alexa Marie said. Definitely, I know the holidays are coming up, but what you can do is just keep an eye on your email for those announcements that we will be releasing in the next couple of weeks. And yes, we are meeting January 5th in person. It's going to be in Fort Lauderdale, Dania Beach area. I want to tell you guys so bad, but I'm going to leave it a surprise. It's going to be amazing. So stay tuned.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Merrill. It's all yours. You can take it away.
all right. So let me share my screen here. I'm so excited, you guys, because we are share my sound, and now we see you in my shared screen. All right, here we go. All right, this is the presentation, you guys. You have an amazing team supporting you, and that concludes my message. All right, let's go. Let's take a look then at what we're going to do for today. And there we go. Now, if I can just get rid of that. Well, it looks like we're going to have to suffer through the little. I'm going to put it over here, way over there. Okay, let's go to. First of all, can we hear me?
Yes.
5 by 5. Everything sounds good. Everything looks good. All right.
Yes.
First and foremost, I want to thank Alexa Marie for her statement of having the courage as what they call zillennials, right? The cusp between Gen Z and the millennials. I learned that term today, so thank you, Alexa Marie, and for attending the boot camp earlier this summer and the amazing things that she was able to learn. So. For those of you who have not attended yet, I'm telling you guys, this is insanely critical intel, and we're going to be talking about 6 fatal funding landmines that are based on myths, misrepresentations, and misunderstandings about your personal credit, business credit, score, fundability, etc. This is must-see TV, because if you are operating from one of these myths, you will and may already have, bless your hearts, you may already have stepped on the funding landmines that are going to prevent you from taking advantage of the amazing lending environment that's going on right now. So I don't want to give it all away on the first slide here, but I do want us to know that I'm committed to helping every one of you get the funds that you need to thrive. The only way, you guys are already working your hindquarters off. The way to make it easier and better and faster is to have more capital, to have more funds to do the deals. And you're already using private money, you're already using other hard money loans, etc. But imagine being able to have bank loans and bank credit lines that to be able to write a check and do a deal. That keeps more money in your pocket. Right now, the overnight Fed rate is 0 again. Remember, it was 0 back in 2008. We've had it now for a minute. Now is the time to access the capital that we need, because the costs are so low. And for this training, for our time together this morning, I want to help every one of you see that there is a clear path. No matter where you're coming from, there's a clear path to get the business loans and lines of credit that you need, regardless of where you are now. I don't care if in the funding landscape, you're in New York or Miami, or Fort Lauderdale, San Diego. If funding town is Kansas City, then we all have a specific way to get there, and none of our directions, none of the instructions to get from where you are to funding is going to be the same. You could have a similar profile, and it's going to be different because of your history, types of accounts you have, and everything that's on your that you see. So that's what we're about today, is how do we stop stepping on these landmines? And if you and I never talk again, after this training, I want you to be able to know how to avoid these pitfalls, these landmines, even if you never go to the boot camp. The boot camp is designed to show you how to solve the challenges and problems that you are running into. Here, we're talking about how to avoid it. Fair enough? All right, so there are 2 massive economic or 2 unstoppable forces that are happening in the market today. And we have no control over these. Whether or not we surf this wave or are crushed by this wave, 100%, you guys, they are happening right now. One of them is that the top tier banks right now, all 33 tier 1 and tier 2 banks, the top tier banks, have more money than ever to lend. In second quarter of 2020, the top 4, Chase, Wells, Citi, and Bank of America, the top 4 banks had about $6 billion between them in profits. In 2021, same second quarter, 1 year later, they had over 20 billion between them in profits. And these profits are, and part of the reason is why we're here this morning is there are fewer people who could qualify for funding because of many different reasons. Some took advantage of moratoriums, right? And while you didn't have bad credit, you still sent a message to the lender saying, hey, I'm not in a position right now to make these payments. Some people have gotten negative or derogatory credit because they haven't been able to pay. Some have overextended themselves on their credit cards, raised credit limits or credit balances in order to pay their bills. There's a zillion reasons, and we'll be discussing some of the ways we become unfundable, but as a result, fewer people can qualify for funding. The great thing is that for those who do qualify, they're getting higher and more approval amounts. Let me say that again. If you do qualify, you get higher and more approval amounts. And it's just math, you guys. For those of us who are, this is all just math. The lender's got to lend to somebody because they only make money when they lend. Interest income and swipe income when we own one of their credit cards and we use their credit cards, those are called swipe fees. Those are the two massive income streams for banks. And so if they're not lending or issuing credit cards, they're not making money. All right. So they're looking for the right people to give that money to. So as we've talked about, if you attended last summer, this presentation, it's all about knowing the rules of the funding game, knowing what banks and lenders are approving and what they're not approving, the type of borrower they're willing to lend to, and those they're not willing to lend to. So if you don't know the rules, you're way out on the funding on the funding target. But if you do know the rules, then you become that perfect customer, that perfect borrower. And you guys all have an avatar, right? In your businesses, you guys have an avatar. That avatar is the perfect customer. It's the type of person that you either want renting your home, that you want to buy your retail flip, your wholesaling clients. We all have a well-defined, or the best of us have a well-defined avatar, a well-defined customer. Lenders have well-defined customers, and we're going to be discussing the ways in which we tell them today that these 6 landmines we're going to discuss, they actually tell lenders that you're not the perfect customer. You shouldn't be considered for loans and lines of credit. All right. The second unstoppable force is technology. And technology is ramping up. And because of COVID, things are, even with the Delta variant, we're going along like this, right? There's just the market continue to grow. Crypto continues to have its ups and downs, but everything, the economy appears to be growing, and we're having signs of inflation. Now, I say signs of inflation because it's not technically the old definition of inflation. Our economy is not overheating. It's that we have supply chain problems. We have supply problems that's making everything, the cost of goods go up. So it looks like inflation, but the Fed is not combating, it's not raising the rates. So we have technology, all of these considerations have driven lenders to use software to determine who they're going to lend to. The branches, did you guys hear that they've closed the top 4 banks between them, closed over 2,000 branches around the country? Just straight up closed them. There's one in Texas. It was so, because I know this because my CFO lives in Texas, and the branch is open. The one closest to her is open for 1 week, and then it's closed down. And the branch on the other side of her, 10 minutes away versus 5 minutes, is open once the alternate week. So they're opening branches. They're using the same staff, and they're opening branches alternatively. It's crazy. I understand why isn't it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday? I don't know why they did a week on and a week off, but it's crazy what's going on out there when it comes to the face-to-face, the real person-to-person experience. Lenders want to use more and more technology to create our relationships with us, and are therefore looking what they can measure. Here's one that's interesting for you. There's a correlation. We got because we have insiders in a number of different environments. One of the fintechs, my chief marketing officer, Brad, he has an insider who was saying that they found a correlation between how much your cell phone is charged, how often you let it go down in its battery, and your credit score. There's a correlation. For those of us who let our batteries drain out, that tends to, if we don't care about our battery, says this algorithm, if we don't care about our battery, we may not care about or be fastidious about other things. Now, I'm just the messenger, but I'm telling you that they're looking at more and stranger things. Apple, there's a big brouhaha that your Apple data or your Google data from your Google phones, they're capturing data about how you operate. And that is as much of a tell as the currently measured borrower behaviors. And just like in poker, if we all have a tell and someone knows how to read it, they're going to be able to watch our behaviors and grade us in the way that we are doing our financial lives. Okay. Now, again, I'm just the messenger, but this is an unstoppable force. And you need someone that you can, many of you are already students or clients. You need someone who has a seat at this table so that you know what's coming down the pike, right? You know what these lenders are looking for. Interestingly enough, for those of you who haven't seen my presentation before, part of this technology is coming from Fico. Now, most of us know Fico as the source of the 3-digit number that lenders use to score our data, or score our credit and help with the approval process for credit extensions. The thing is, FICO does so much more than that. And FICO is about predictive analytics. And these predictive analytics are what, when I was in this very meeting that you see right here, this is the score development team that I met with at FICO. And in this meeting themselves, they said, Merrill, I cannot predict what you are going to do, but I can predict what 1,000 Merrills will do, or representing 1,000 people will do. I will know what the vast majority of them can do. That's what predictive technology is. So the thing is some of us may feel that is invasive, but if we know how to play the game, then do this math with me. If lenders have given the power to approve credit loans and lines of credit to software, and software has 40 borrower behaviors that they measure to approve you, and if you know what those 40 borrower behaviors are, who is in charge of your approvals, really. I'll do that math again. Lenders have given the power to software to approve you. You know this because how many of you, raise your hand, how many of you have gotten a credit card in the last 2, 3, 4 years, whatever, and you were approved or denied in literally 30 seconds or less? It came back. How many of you? I got a bunch of us. Awesome, right? That is called automatic underwriting. No human being, guys, looked at your profile. Not one. So if you know what the borrower behaviors are, you are in charge of your approvals. You are. You just got to know what the borrower behaviors are and what lenders are looking for. Well, that's why we're here together. That's why we have the workshop we call the Get Fundable Bootcamp. Is we go through those borrower behaviors and what to do to solve for those problems. I found out and verified these borrower behaviors when I was at Fico. Now, 3 of the biggest challenges you guys as real estate investors have are the lack of capital or the speed that you have the capital. Now, I don't know what the market is here right now, but through the summer, it was like in Salt Lake City and places where I've been, it was literally offer, and sometimes thousands and thousands of dollars over the asking price, right? So it's the lack of capital and or the speed of and availability of that capital. Now, many of you have found, I know there's folks out there that you guys feel like you've been told no by traditional lenders, by banks, because you're a real estate investor. You are risky to them. There's a solve for that. And comparatively speaking, you're limited to super expensive alternative lending, right? Again, nothing on alternative lenders, just how about having 2, 3, 500,000 up to $1 million in prime plus 0.5%, prime plus 2% money. All right. So our goal as we go through these are going to talk about the 6 big funding landmines. And the reason why you and I step on them, the reason why we step on them is because I'm my own crash test dummy, you guys. The reason why I say we is because I learned most of these from my own errors over the last 30 years. And then when I get them confirmed by talking with Fico score development teams and major bank underwriting teams, it's verified. But I ran into these problems myself. You are not alone. I'm telling you, I've had so much financial heartbreak because I didn't know what it was, but I just forged through these minefields myself and had devastating effects, financially devastating effects. And so I'm here to share with you, to compress decades into literally an hour and change to help you stop stepping on those same landmines. So let's break it down. Okay. Landmine, and we're going to count down. Landmine number 6, the great credit score deception. Now, what do I mean by credit score deception? Well, you have been lied to. Your credit score is not as important as you think it is, and it's not used the way you think it is used. Let's hit it. So, credit scores are not created equal. First of all, there's Fico. Fico is the gold standard. Over 90% of all lenders use FICO scores in order to evaluate your are used in the approval process, right? But here's what's interesting. Your credit score is not used to approve you. So massive myth. We call this the big domino, the thing that knocks our entire framework for Get Fundable is this right here. Your credit score has never been used to approve you, guys. Never. And yet we've been lied to that what's your credit score? What's your credit score? Oh, yeah, let's get a mortgage. What's your credit score? We think, even the loan officers and the people we work with think that the credit score does that. It does not. What approves you are the 40 borrower behaviors that are measured when they pull a credit profile. And then your score, if you're approved, only if you're approved, your score is used to determine the interest rate, the term, and the amount they're going to approve. Tell me you guys, raise your hand. Tell me you guys understand what I just said. Are you with me? Does that make sense? We got a couple of us. All right. You've got to understand, because nothing else is going to make sense. If we were to work together and you said, hey, Merrill, I got a 720, I'm going to say, I don't care. Are you fundable? When was your last approval? Where's your $100,000 business line of credit from Chase? See what I'm saying? Your score is nearly irrelevant to me. And yet we have been sold a bill of goods that our score is everything, and it is not. And if you take anything home from this conversation, you guys, it's that your score is used after you are approved, period. Okay. But there's a whole slew of, oh, and by the way, if you guys have questions, please write them down in the Q&A as the questions come up, and we'll hit all those questions at the end. All right. So just any questions, don't put them in the chat, put them in the Q&A so that the Alexas can go through them and we can discuss it. Then there's FICO scores, and then what I call FACO scores. FACO scores are any score a lender that is not used by a lender to approve you. Write that down. Any score, any credit score that is not used by a lender to approve or to used in the approval process is a fake score. The biggest fake score, and we'll go into great detail on this in the boot camp, but the greatest fake score is Credit Karma. So I won't even ask you to raise your hands on this, because over 100 million Americans base their financial and credit self-image on a fake score that in studies has been proven to be 30 to 40 points on average higher than the scores lenders use. Hear me on this, you guys. Please hear me. You are looking at a score. They're selling. They're giving it for free. They're giving you a score that is technically, generally 30 to 40 points higher in order to have you be able to feel good and click that button next to it. If you guys went to Credit Karma right now, next to your score, there's always an offer. It's the featured offer. If you click apply now, they're going to pull a FICO score. It's the greatest bait and switch of modern credit dynamics, you guys. It's a bait and switch. They do not pull the scores that are on your Credit Karma account. All these different logos you see here, all fake scores. And yet, without knowing this, without being a part of BRIA, without the education that Anish and the Alexas are providing you, that's a landmine. You're going to walk around thinking your score means something that it doesn't. And you might be basing your entire frame of reference on a false score. So please just make notes and understand and let's solve these challenges together. Now, how else are we being deceived? Well, your credit score, here's a perfect example. These are great credit scores, right? We think these are terrific credit scores, but it's based on an unfundable borrower profile. And you can tell this person's one of my clients, but when they came to us, you can tell that they're a real estate investor, right? Had a $5,000 local credit union and these retail cards. But the thing is a high credit score simply means you get more of what you've got. listen to me carefully. This profile never, this person has those scores. The scores are irrelevant to fundability. And so you are never, ever, 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 ever going to get a $50,000 or $100,000 business line of credit or business loan from Wells Fargo based on your Home Depot reputation. It has never happened. It will never happen. And yet we've been lied to that our score, that, oh, look, I've got great scores. And you got a lousy, non-fundable profile, right? That is the problem. What are credit scores good for? Here, your fundability is based on your profile, the dynamics of your profile. And your profile, we're actually going to discuss what that means. The funding, a fundability, that's why I call my Fundability Inc. is my company name. Get Fundable is my battle cry. It is my soapbox. Get Fundable is our registered trademark. It is time for us to get fundable. And that is all based on the contents of your personal profile, your personal credit profile, and your borrower behaviors. All right, write down questions, guys, in the Q&A. Questions in the Q&A. Any questions you have, write them down there and we'll get to them. Funding landmine number 5. Let's talk about the loan approval lie. So if it's not your credit score, right? If it's not the credit score, then what does get me approved? Well, what are the true indicators of fundability then? And what makes up your personal credit profile? Let's take a look at these. Write it down, take a screenshot of this, you guys, because in the bootcamp, we do a complete deep dive, massive deep dive on every one of these and what the solves are so that you can improve it walking out of the bootcamp. So the first one is you are optimizing for your borrower identity. We're going to have a whole section on that in one of these in just a moment. We want to optimize your revolving accounts portfolio. As you'll learn in the portfolio, there are 16 values contributions of the different credit revolving accounts and credit card types. There's tier 1 through tier 4, highest to lowest. There are 100% all the way down to 40%, where you're getting ripped off by having that type of credit card. All of those things they're evaluating the quality of your revolving accounts. Then they also do that. We want to optimize your installment loans. There's a particular portfolio, auto loans and or mortgages and or the types of loans that you have, the balances that you have. All of that has to be optimized so that you send the best message, not to a lender sitting across the desk from you, but from the lender software. They're measuring all of these pieces, you guys. They're measuring all these pieces, right? Then they're and Alexa knows this one. This is crazy. It's too much to go into in our short time, but it's 1247 traffic patterns. Now, these are traffic patterns in your personal or business or both checking accounts. And it's how that formula right there, the 1247, actually helps you develop a relationship. This sounds so funny. If I feel like I'm telling you to fall in love with a cyborg. It helps you develop a relationship with the banking approval software. No joke. If you do the right things in your checking accounts, lenders will look at you and go, oh, we want to give, look how well they treat their money. We want to give them our money. It's fascinating. This stuff just is my jam, you guys. They want to see how you treat your money to determine how much money they want to give you. And we've got all of it for you. We got all of it for you. Now, there's accurate trade line reporting. Now, this could be if you have less than perfect credit. The Alexas were telling me that many people call in on a regular basis saying, hey, what happens if I have bad credit? How do I, what's the best lenders to go to? If you have less than perfect credit, come to this boot camp and find out how to work around your bad credit and still build a profile. More on that in just a moment. It's going to blow your mind. All right. And then there's what's called a 24-month look back period. Now, they're not looking at your credit report with just today's balances, today's limits, today's quality. They're looking back a full 24 months in an increments of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and 24 months. Each one of those increments, if you do the right things, and this sounds, I don't know how to get around, Alexa Marie, I don't know how to get around this because this sounds complicated, but it's not. When you guys literally, we have a fundability index and a revolving accounts inventory. We have software for the boot camp that helps you look at all of this stuff and know exactly where you stand. You can literally will compare you against lender underwriting software and know why you're not getting approvals or how close you are to approvals and exactly what to do next to get approved. So the whole point of this is to get from the out. My targets are my jam. Everything that I do at Get Fundable is about targets because we want to get you from way out here to right in there. And we want it to be fundable as quickly as possible. That 24-month look back period is not only just 40 borrower behaviors, but the look back period of 24 months. All right. If you have any questions, please write down your questions in the Q&A about the funding landmine number 5. All right, we're gonna now. What do I mean by the underwriting trap? Because this is another serious landmine that we recognize it as true when we hear it, but until we hear it, it's one of those things we don't know what we don't know. So there are two types of there's two types of underwriting. There's manual underwriting, like when you do your mortgage and you come up with all of your, or big commercial loans, right? You're looking for 1 million, 2 million, 5 million and everything's manually underwritten. Well, we already talked about automatic underwriting. Automatic underwriting is when the software just looks at your data and then evaluates whether or not they want to give you money. Okay, so automatic underwriting occurs when two things happen. Every field on your application matches the information databases perfectly, and your borrower behaviors hit their underwriting bullseyes, right? But we think we know what that means. You're filling out an application. You're filling out an application. You're like, oh yeah, I moved, so I'm going to put down my new address on my application. If none of the databases have this new address, you guys, you downgrade your application and chances of approval because the new address, while true, doesn't match anything that they're looking at. You haven't gone through the work of updating all your creditors with the new address yet, much less all the databases and the credit bureaus. And when you don't do these things in the right order, you get a no. I get so excited about this stuff. Alexa and the Alexas and I were talking before we got started. It's just, you guys, I'm not yelling at you. I'm just yelling at the world because I'm in my hotel room actually looking over Sarasota, Florida, yelling at the world because this pisses me off. It just makes me angry that we aren't taught this stuff. I wish, Alexis, I wish I knew this as young as you are, as you're learning this. All right. Every field on your application has to match perfectly with the databases. And the more perfect, there's even, FICO has what's called an application score. We discussed it in great detail at the boot camp. The application score measures how far off your current application that you're filling out online right now compared to what the databases are. We got to fix that stuff before we submit apps, you guys. And it's not the loan officer's fault. Loan officer, you already know more than any loan officer that you have ever talked to in your life. You already know more about the inner workings of the credit game. All right. So, but the credit bureaus aren't the only databases that are being reviewed. There's Fico Falcon Intelligent Network. It is a consortium of 9,000 banks who track every application you've ever submitted and help build that application score to see if you, we're not raising our hands on this one, but most of us have rounded up probably on a credit application, right? Fico Falcon measures how much you have rounded up. We have to know what they're measuring for us to get approved. Early warning watches checking account transfers. Every single transfer you have ever made in your checking account is documented by the early warning system. And LexisNexis collects all of our public record data. Everything that we've ever put our name on as an owner, as a title holder, is in LexisNexis. All of these data, not just the 3 credit bureaus, but all these databases, our data has to be accurate for us to pass automatic underwriting. And lenders trust automatic underwriting so much that they will give higher approvals through automatic underwriting than through manual underwriting. Every time, you guys, every time. The predictive analytics of FICO, here's those. So FICO grades the 40 characteristics of your profile, right? Only 10 measure derogatory accounts. So that means there's 30 ways to increase your fundability and the corresponding credit score, regardless of your negative indicators, literally, regardless of the indicators. So what happens, you guys, is that every one of, only 28 would fit here in the boot camp. I actually give you, FICO measures 40 characteristics, 40 borrower behaviors. In the boot camp, you guys, I will give you the pool of 150 borrower behaviors that FICO draws from, and every lender on the planet draws from the same pool of borrower behaviors. They're different. And so we learn to optimize for all 150, not just 40. There's probably more information than you needed today. All right. And then all of those borrower behaviors are then tracked over the course of the 24-month look back period. All right. So once again, not knowing the rules, knowing the rules, you become the perfect borrower. You become the perfect customer for the lenders. This is what we're about, is drawing closer to that bullseye. And when they close down, notice when they close down that target, like they are doing right now, when they close down the target, we are still fundable. But what does that mean in real terms? Well, we've had over 192 million in approvals over the last 5 years. 52 million since March of 2020. During COVID, we've had almost 25% of our total approvals in the 18 months since COVID, because they don't have as many people to lend to. So they're looking at the bullseye borrowers, the perfect customers, and giving you more money as a result. Okay. Whew. All right. I wish my picture, can you guys see my picture up in the top left? Raise your hand if you can, because if you can.
We can see it. If you just pull it down, I think it'll be better, because most of the information's at the top left.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if you can like drag the box down.
yeah, it's not
It's
letting.
stuck there.
Yeah, it's not letting
All
me.
right.
All right. I know some of that stuff is there. It's just a pain in the patookas. All right, let's go to, but so how we doing? Raise your hand if you have already received something you can walk away with that will change your behavior, your borrower behaviors today. Anybody raise that will, where you can do something different today. All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you. All right. Let's go to the credit application cover up. Now this one's wild because Fico, we talked about the credit applications, but let's do a little bit deeper dive, right? That application score, there's 9,000 banks tracking every one of the applications you've ever done, right? So you got to understand that you are data and not a person to the software. Now, the lenders, since the beginning of COVID, are doing things differently than they did in 2008. In 2008, they said, yeah, screw the borrowers. We're going to take back all the properties. We're going to repossess and and foreclose. And everybody hated the banks, and the banks' stocks went down, and they lost millions of customers who flooded to local community banks and credit unions. And they're like, and they were left with 10 years worth of inventory just sitting around becoming dilapidated. Now, it was a free-for-all for us real estate investors, but for the banks, it was a bad move to treat us the way they did. So in COVID, that's why they went to moratoriums. Some people are on near 18-month moratoriums on mortgages. There's so much goodwill from the banks because they didn't want to repeat the mistakes that they did in 2008. And this is giving them a chance to prove up and build relationships with us. And while they're trying to build relationships with us in their customer service, do you realize sometimes it isn't just phone calls? Sometimes you can get a Zoom with your banks these days, talking to mortgage bankers, et cetera. You can have Zoom calls, right? They're trying to reach out and do a better job than they did before. But between you and I, the algorithm, you are data. So we got to treat this like like data. So let me give you my crash test dummy. Before I knew what I was doing, similar to what many of you may already be at right now, there's a massive identity crisis going on in America. Massive credit identity crisis. And it's because we are not taught how fastidious these algorithms are of measuring who you are. So before I knew what I was doing, I applied for credit under Merrill Ray Chandler, Merrill R Chandler, Merrill Chandler, right? And the problem is that there are, in the credit bureau databases, there are 29 Merrill Chandlers and 13 Chandler Merrills. Every one of those is a data point that could be, based on the other data, a viable borrower. So how do I, in the world of Merrill Chandlers, how do I stick out? How do I identify myself as a fundable borrower? That is the challenge. And we have an entire section on how to change and update and modify your identity so that you are crystal clear borrower, and they know you as only what we call a PBID, a personal borrower identity. No, we're not changing our identity like CIA agents or witness protection. We're literally, I will show you how to clean up your identities so that all lenders know you by one identity. Okay, this is what we want it to look like when we're done. All right. Now, many of you, how many of you, just raise your hand, how many of you have pulled a mortgage credit report and seen all kinds of red ink? Anybody seen red ink on your mortgage credit report? Anybody seen red ink on your mortgage credit report? All right. The more that, thank you. So the red ink, as you can see on your screen, represents data variations. Notice it's called red flag compliance. They're literally measuring for variations. Alert, there in the bottom left, alert. Oh, there's 2 addresses. Alert, they're looking for fraud. Notice in the second oval down, it says possible red flags, further verification recommended, variation between input address and on-file address. Do you hear that? Variation between input address and on-file address, right? Further verification required for detection of possible fraud, just because you have 2 addresses. You guys, and how many of you you're in the buy and hold business and you do a mortgage and now you have a new current address? Raise your hand if you've ever gotten a new current address on your credit profile from a rental. Yes, thank you. So you guys, we have to be in charge of our data, because if they're measuring data to approve us and we're just all over the map, they're not going to either approve us or they're not going to give us the limits and the loan amounts that we want that are going to help us build our businesses. Okay. Now, automatic underwriting occurs when there's a perfect match. You get the most and highest underwriting consideration, the highest approvals, when what you put on that credit application matches what's in the bureau databases. All right. Once we hit those findings, we got subprimes, we got fintechs, we have business credit cards, business loan, and trophy business lines of credit. If we become trophy borrowers, we can have our pick of any type of a loan or credit instrument out there, you guys. All right. And if we're hitting their funding guidelines, that makes us their perfect customer. And I'm telling you, when you're their perfect customer, they're coming to you to raise limits and extend credit further. All right. All right. Put down your questions in the Q&A and we'll cover those in a few minutes. We're on funding landmine number 2. Everybody with me? How do you like? Are these truly landmines? Do you relate to one or more of these landmines, guys, that you have no clue and you're just walking in there and you don't know why? None of us, you guys, none of us know why. Thank you for raising your hand. None of us know why. They're just like, I'm sorry. Yeah, we didn't approve you for a $15,000 credit card. We gave you a $5,000. Well, why? Yeah, well, I don't know. The customer service reps aren't going to know, right? So now, are you killing your golden goose? That's landmine number 2. Well, first of all, what do I mean by a golden goose? Let's go back here. Your golden goose is your personal credit profile. If it is not in fundable tip-top shape, you will not get approved for cash credit cards, cash credit lines, and cash loans. What I mean by cash is not merchandise, like going to Staples or getting a commercial Lowe's account. I'm talking about real live $50,000, $100,000 loans and lines of credit and credit cards. That's what I mean by cash lines. Okay. So when I'm at Fico, this is my personal Fico liaison. We talk every couple of weeks, and I'm watching things go on in the market, and he and I talk on the phone. And this is us at the last Fico World, which is kind of the conclave for all lenders and the C-suite lenders, as well as the underwriting teams, right? People who are making the funding game rules. Well, he told me, and if you guys want, go to my podcast and find the David Smith interview. But you'll hear him say this himself. 80% of every funding approval decision, every funding decision for small businesses is based on the makeup of your personal borrower profile, your personal profile. Follow me? I've had people come up to you and go, Merrill, my personal credit is shot, so I just want to build my business credit. Yeah, well, if you want some Uline accounts and a Staples credit card, Yeah, you can work on your Dun & Bradstreet Paydex score, but you're never going to get cash credit cards, credit line, business credit lines, and business loans, because those require 80% of the decision is based on how you treat money on your personal profile. Tell me you guys understand what I just said. Please raise your hand if you understood what I just said. They're excellent, awesome. Thank you guys. This is vital. The next big domino, after you know that your personal credit score is relatively worthless until after you're approved and then it's used, the next big one is your personal profile is measured for business lending approvals. Next huge domino. They measure your personal profile. And then it isn't just any personal profile, it has to be optimized for the business approvals. Think of it this way. If the biggest credit card account you have on your personal profile is $5,000 and you want a $100,000 business line of credit, that's a little out of whack, right? You think they're going to give you a $100,000 business line of credit if you've only proven a max total capability of $5,000 on your personal credit cards. It's not going to happen. Now, you don't have to have $500,000 credit cards, but you have to optimize your personal profile for credit approvals. That's why we call it the goose that lays the golden eggs. Your personal profile is everything. And yet we have been taught and trained, you guys, we have been taught to cook our goose or butcher our goose, abuse it and cook it. And we over and over, we just do these. Since we don't know the rules of the game, we ruin our profiles. And then we question why we're not getting approved. So we have to stop cooking our goose, you guys. And what are those golden eggs? Well, business credit cards, unsecured business loans, trophy business lines of credit, trust and prestige in your partnerships, commercial loans, FICO-driven hard money loans. You'll notice that outfits who use FICO-driven hard money loans are less expensive than non-FICO driven loans. Now, why do I say trophy business credit lines? I call them trophy business lines of credit because when you play the game like an all-star, you get a trophy, right? And the trophy business lines, some of us prefer business loans, but the trophies in this funding game are these massive $50,000, $100,000 credit lines, business loans. If you're into, I've got some of my clients absolutely love syndications, right? And so they love getting $100,000 business loans that they put into a syndication. The monthly stipend that comes back from the syndication pays the monthly payment plus some. And then at the 3 to 5 year expiration where the business loan gets paid off, now they have this huge payout on their syndication. So that's a perfect example of how to use a business loan. Lines of credit are for flips. They're amazing for flips. Okay. So all of these different types of and business credit cards, it's vital that you use the right kind of business credit cards, which we're going to cover next. But please, we got to stop cooking our golden goose. And again, we do all of that inside of the boot camp. Now, derogatory listings, late pays, collection judgments, liens, bankruptcies. You can have, and raise your hand if one or more of these things apply, or in the past. It doesn't matter that it's right now, but you've been told you have too many inquiries, or you've got a consumer profile, or you have high utilization, you have too much credit or too little credit, or you have authorized users on your profile, or unfundable business codes, all of these, you guys, make you unfundable on the personal side, so we get denials on the business side. Is this math making sense? Raise your hand. Is this math making sense? You have the wrong borrower behaviors on the left side, as represented on this slide. Wrong borrower behaviors, not the right borrower behaviors, and now we're getting denied for business. Is it making sense now why you might not be getting the approvals that you think you deserve, right? We want to stop all of that. Now, for us, this doesn't apply to what I call consumer borrowers. These are for business borrowers, strategic borrowers. The number one funding landmine is the Great Business Credit Con. Let's go over it, because I've hinted towards it, but this is gnarly, you guys. So if you have, actually you should share I'm going to speak to this, but then I'd love to have you share your experience about this, because these are the approval killing red flag trigger words and business codes. If your business name or the business purpose in the Secretary of State has any of these words on them, you are automatically unfundable for unsecured business credit cards, business lines of credit, and business loans. Alexa, share your experience. Alexa Marie, share your experience from the boot camp when you learned this.
Yeah, definitely true. So I was in the process of registering my business. I had a name picked out and I was all ready to go, but I went to Merrill Chandler's boot camp. My name I wanted to do the QFE. Well, he'll talk a little bit more about that at the boot camp, but I wanted two different business entities. Both of them had one of these names in it. I had to scratch that, but now I have a business name that does not include any of these. So hopefully I'll be a little bit more much more fundable, because I don't include these in my business.
Thank you so much thank you for sharing that, because you guys, every one of these words triggers, and we can't get into it now. We could do the entire boot camp and we'd still run out of time. Okay. There are every one of these words, if it's in your name, triggers a business code that is applied to your business behind your back. And you don't know what the code is, but it tells lenders automatically when they pull up your Secretary of State records, they automatically tell you you're unfundable. Have you ever gone to open up a business checking account and they're asking you questions and they pull up some information? And have any of you ever had it where somebody just stopped being interested in you as a business person opening a checking account? Have they been all nice and kind of excited and they're asking you a question about your business, they're looking up their paperwork, and then all of a sudden it's just like, yep, let's just get this done. Happy to help. And then became almost cold. Anybody? Because the reason why it happens is they look and they see while they're entering your data, all of a sudden you're not a fundable business. So they just don't care about you anymore. It is the wickedest, ugly behavior, but it is true. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is what what I'm going to tell you right now is not just worth the price of admission to the boot camp. It's worth your annual subscription to BRIA and your real estate dues. 100%. I promise you, what I'm about to tell you right now is worth everything you paid to BRIA and coming to the boot camp, because this is why it's the number one funding landmine for business owners, because we don't know what business credit is. Back in 2008, before 2008, the business credit operators used to help you build a PAYDEX score, because lenders used a PAYDEX score. And before 2008, that was true. Problem is, after 2008, the lenders stopped using Dun & Bradstreet, Experian Business, stopped using PAYDEX IntelliScore or any of the business, they stopped using it completely, replaced it with SBSS, FICO's small business scoring service. But there were dozens of businesses that were selling Dun & Bradstreet Paydex growing scores. How many of you heard or worked with to build your Paydex score? Anybody who, yes. It isn't a thing anymore. Hasn't been since 2008, you guys. Hasn't been used since 2008. The next worst thing is that if this is your business credit poser alert, if a credit card reports to your personal credit profile, it is not business credit, no matter what it says on the card or the marketing, you guys. It's not. I won't even, no hand raising. How many of us, in your own hearts and minds, how many of us have a Discover It or a Spark business card from Capital One? Don't raise your hands. How many of us have one of these? And we found out after the fact that it's reporting to your personal profile. And remember, this is one of the ways we kill the golden goose, because you think you're being a good businesswoman or businessman and you're cruising along and you charge up your expenses on your Spark card or your Discover business card, and all of a sudden your utilization on your personal profile goes up and down and your scores plummet, and you are left once again going, what the hell is happening? True business credit does not report to your personal profile, guys. And once again, we've been lied to. And since we've been lied to, we've said, oh yeah, go just follow this little path. And we walk down that path and there's a freaking landmine blowing up our credit, our personal credit profile. And every time we use one of these business credit cards, it makes us unfundable, you guys. Now, this, as you can tell, this is not right. And nobody's talking about it but me. And you guys need to find out you've got to figure out how you can attend this boot camp workshop so that you can find out, because there are hundreds of these, you guys. I only got 60 to 75 minutes. There's hundreds of these things that we need to know and how to fix it. All right. Here's the other version. 3 types of business credit. So on this left column, Paydex, vendor, and retail credit. Okay. So if you're working with somebody to build your Paydex score, all they're going to get you is vendor credit and retail credit. I have never met a single, I won't name names, I do name them in the boot camp. I won't name names, but there are outfits out there who sell services to build EIN credit. And I haven't met one yet who has gotten a business loan or a business line of credit or a business credit card, a $20,000 business credit card. They get vendor credit and retail credit, right? The other type we hear about is people who talk about commercial credit. Now, commercial credit, if they say the word commercial credit and then 0 interest for 18 months, run. They are lying to you. Just like on the left-hand column, if somebody says, we're going to get you credit for your EIN and we're going to get you credit lines for your EIN, they are misusing those words. They're not getting you $100,000 business credit lines or business loans. They're getting you retail cards and vendor accounts. Tell me you guys understand what I'm saying. Please tell me that, that you're hearing what I'm saying. Thank you. You guys, they are abusing our ignorance because we think a credit line is what you and I are talking about. And they over here start talking, oh yeah, the credit line we call a limit, just to make sure we know the difference. The credit line is $1,000 on a commercial Home Depot card. That isn't what we want. We want 100 grand, right? We want 100 grand in Wells Fargo and Chase credit lines or loans. On the other side, on the far right, commercial credit, they do the same thing. They use the term commercial credit and misrepresent what it is. True commercial credit is a minimum of $1 million, and it can be PG or not PG, and it's full doc manual underwriting. What I specialize in is business credit cards, business credit lines, business loans between 100 grand minimum and $1 million from top tier lenders, banks, all the Chases and the PNCs, the BB&Ts, BBA compasses. There is a personal guarantee required because they are cash lines. Non-PG went out for these types of loans, guys, went out in 2008. It's never been true since. And then it's automatic underwriting. So I just want us to know what business credit really is. If somebody mentions the word paid X, run. They're not going to give you true credit lines and loans for your business. If somebody mentions commercial credit, ask them, can I get 100,000? If they say yes, run. If they mention zero interest, run. Because they're talking credit cards and they're misusing the term commercial credit. Tell me you guys understand what I'm saying. Am I making sense, guys? Are you mad yet? Are you angry yet? I don't want you to just be in your passion about this. I want us to solve the damn problem and get to where we need to go, how to know the insider secrets and then operate from there. Another version of this: installment loans, charge cards, credit line, credit cards, everything above there, above the red line, is personally guaranteed. Everything below is what business credit builders use to build your business credit. Run. Unless you want a Uline account, then of course, I'm down. So the problem with business credit is that we're literally running off the ledge only because we've been lied to. We're speaking the truth here. You know, it's resonating as the truth. And I want us to change our borrower behaviors so that we become fundable. Get fundable helps you do it the easy way, right? So over 1,000 real estate investors, 192 million plus. That number goes up by 1 to 2 million per month, you guys. 1 to 2 million per month. That goes up, and we're over 52 million in COVID. That's the easy way. That's having a seat at this table. That's you knowing the rules of the game. So how do we get started? We've been talking about it all day. Go to the boot camp, and December 10th and 11th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And if you want, I mean, it works for whether you have good credit, bad credit, experienced, not experienced. You need a fundable entity. You don't have one yet, like Alexa Marie was just starting. It all happens there at the boot camp. Stop having lenders reduce your credit limits or close accounts during times of stress. Stop having deals slip through your fingers. Stop feeling that uncertainty and stress of not knowing whether or not you're going to be approved. When you're chasing money, you get blacklisted by lenders, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Day one, take a screenshot of that. I want to make sure that we have time for Q&A. Day one, whole bunch of stuff. Take a screenshot of that. Day two, take a screenshot. We're gonna learn so many things. So go ahead and Alexa Marie, share kind of your experience of the boot camp, because since I'm selling something, I have X level of credibility. You're not selling jack, and you have mad credibility.
Yeah, definitely. No one told me to say anything I'm about to say right now. This is my own true, honest experience. It was incredible. The same energy that you're seeing right now. I have tons of comments in the chat of how energetic you are and how much we feel your passion. I truly felt that Merrill was there to help us, all of us in the boot camp. I walked away learning so much. I truly go back through my notes with Merrill Chandler. I started listening to his podcast, but I've learned, like, I have a new relationship with my bank app now. Like, I have the money sitting in my account in a different way. Like, I'm strategic about that. Things that I never thought of before. Just the tips and tricks on when you're in the belly of the beast. Like, when I'm always mad at the big corporate, industry giants, the banks, things like that, because, they don't necessarily have our best interest at heart always. Sometimes they do. But when you're in the belly of the beast and you know the tips and tricks and kind of get around some of these challenges to building your credit, growing your credit, being more fundable, then you feel a lot more empowered. So I really came out of it feeling like I know some things, some hacking, some ways to move around the system, so I can make the most of what I have, and I'm so ready, and I can't wait to do more with Merrill. So the 2 days is worth it. Like, if you have to take time off work, if you have to find a babysitter, just soak up the knowledge and you're going to gain something from it. It's something that I pass on to my friends all the time. It was a great experience, and I thank you so much, Merrill, because I feel like I'm in a such better place because of it. So thank you.
Really, thank you for sharing. If you went to get this on my website and just buy these different master courses, it's both days together, guys, are worth $3,994, and it's yours for $97. There are other versions of this, depending on what you want, the recordings or a meeting with me or otherwise. But for $97, we can spend 2 days together, and it's live streaming, so you don't have to go anywhere. You can. I've had students who are literally, they've got their phone in one room, iPad, and their computer in different rooms, so that they can move around the room and not miss a word, right? I'm all in, however you want to attend. I have an extra special bonus for my Bria family. All right. This year, December 10th and 11th, we are going to do I have a Christmas holiday present for you. I'm going to allow you to have a watch party for whatever ticket you purchase. I will allow you to have a watch party and include any blood relative 21 years and younger to join you to learn this stuff, inspired by the Alexas, because of she said she wished she knew this younger, and she's still a 20 something. I'm a 60 something, and I wished I knew this younger. So please, I'm allowing watch parties as my holiday gift to you, to bring your 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, and I want to see you guys and join us for this. No ticket price for any of them if you are a ticket holder at whichever level is good for you as the real estate investor. Now, one thing that I will say is that I want to make this risk-free. If you haven't got it yourself, I mean, if you don't get that this is this is truly revolutionary, this probably isn't the right way to spend December 10th and 11th. But if you even want to try it out, if you're not happy with the funding strategies you learned by the end of day 1 of the boot camp, by the end of Friday, I will give you 100% of your money back. Now, you don't get to come to day 2, but if I didn't knock you on your patukas, I will give you 100% of your money back. Raise your hand if you understand my offer. Does that work for you guys? If you don't, if it's not a thing for you, then I would love for you to, I'm happy to return. I have a spectacular reputation, and we're going to be talking about reputations and relationships the entire weekend, and how to build it. So basically, you're gambling one day to see how close you are to these to becoming fundable. One day is all you need to invest. And if you want to go to Tiny CC, here's just a bunch of, I'll let you read them for yourself. But if you go to tiny.cc, and by the way, it is case sensitive. The Alexas are going to drop it in the chat. tinycc.bria. That's where you register. Just read the reviews, you guys. These are dozens and dozens and dozens of people just like you, real estate investors, business entrepreneurs, who have believed the same BS and been caught in the funding minefields just like we have. And you can check into the heart and spirit of what they're sharing. These are not pat Merrill on the back reviews, you guys. This is heartfelt, like my world has changed because I can now see inside the matrix, right? We're in the belly of the beast, to use Alexa Marie's language. So please come to the boot camp, and I'll keep this up, tiny.cc/Bria, and we can. Does anybody need to keep this up? I'd like to look at the Q&As. There's 70 people in the chat, and you guys get, if I pull it up, everybody sees the chat. So how are we?
I got it.
So
I got it. You can close it.
Right.
I'll read it to you.
Okay, very good.
All right. Yeah, just go ahead and close. Yeah, I got you. No worries. All right. So we'll start off with the Q&A. This one's coming from earlier, so we're just going to have to do a jog of memory. What's the number one force? Do you remember?
What's the number one?
One force. Force. FORCE.
Oh, the unstoppable force number one is economic, meaning that we have got up indicators and down indicators, and lenders have more money to lend and nobody to lend to. So whoever fits their funding bullseye is going to get more and higher approvals. So it's an economic force of this random, weird economic environment that is putting tons of profits into the bank's pockets and nowhere to lend them. That's force number one.
Oh, right. What do you think about Fund and Grow, and why?
Okay, so we discuss all of these types of groups. Fund and Grow, I'm okay with Fund and Grow if you have this conversation with them. I would love to work, this is a quote, I would love to work with you if you can promise me that you will only get me business credit cards, because they're never going to get you a credit line or a loan. If you can only get me business credit cards on my LLC, they use a sole proprietor, they build a sole proprietorship for you, which is an alter ego for your personal. But say, if you can give me own business credit cards that do not report to my personal, you guarantee that they do not report to my personal, and you can get them for my LLC, I would love to do business with you. They're likely not to do business with you because they're going to get you a bunch of cards that actually report to your personal, because they're putting them on a sole proprietorship. And you guys don't want to be sole proprietors anyway. And you don't want your credit card relationships to be in the name of a sole proprietor. You guys, does that make sense to you guys? Raise your hand if that makes sense. Are you with me on? Can you see what that means?
If it doesn't make sense now, it'll make sense after the boot camp. Yes.
Thank you. So I have nothing against them. They keep their promises. The problem is that most of us do not know what they're actually promising. Is that fair? We don't understand what it means. So they're going to get business credit, but they're going to open up a random sole proprietorship to do it. That's not okay, you guys.
All right, next question. How can I view or create a better Duns Bradstreet profile? How important is that? Or is that not one of the real goals?
Yeah, that's not. You're done. The Dun and Bradstreet, we talk about this. We have a whole section on creating your business credit reputation. But you're also going to learn very quickly that we don't care about your PAYDEX score. Your PAYDEX score is irrelevant. We're looking for the data points to match your personal borrower data, because SBSS, which is what the banks use, SBSS is FICO's small business scoring service, not PAYDEX. Get that out of your mind. They do still use Dun & Bradstreet and Experian Business Credit Bureau reporting, but we want to work on the data points. Make sure you don't have the funding codes or the blacklisted names, right? The names of your business that are going to make you unfundable. Yes, that's all very important. Your score, it's not a thing. Your PAYDEX score or your Intella score, not a thing.
All righty. Collection account, medical account, that one's okay. I'm just gonna skip that one. Sorry. I had a work related, sorry. Some people, guys, just remember your grammar. It's hard to, figure out what you're trying to say in the chat, but I'm gonna read those again. So we'll go to, I want to be able to obtain a business credit. My credit limits have been increased on my credit without me requesting an increase. Should I decline the increases?
No, unless you're over $30,000, no. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, that's an automatic limit increase. And that means your borrower behaviors are in a certain degree with that lender. You're right in line with what their automatic underwriting guidelines are. So congratulations until 30,000. Oh, and by the way, once you hit 30,000, then contact your lender. This is a freebie, guys, from the boot camp. Contact the lender and say, no, freeze my limit, no more automatic limit increases. And they're going to be like, what? And you're going to say, yes, I'm a strategic borrower. And you're going to, like Alexa Marie, you're going to know everything to tell them.
Definitely. All right. So I think I figured out what this person is trying to say. I think they have a medical bill that went to collections, and numerous third-party agencies keep appearing on their credit report. Should they pay off this to improve their credit?
Actually do what's called a pay to delete. Whoever the most recent collection agency is, especially medical is pretty easy to do. Once you pay it, but say, I will pay this if you will delete it from all 3 credit bureaus, and get that in writing, like engage with them, not just on the phone, but by email. And if we can get that in writing beforehand, then get that paid to delete, then it's worth getting that paid for. And then we can, depending on what we do at the boot camp or otherwise, there's some more things we can do, but that's your first step. Absolutely.
Gotcha. And some people want to know, if they can't go to the December boot camp, will there be another one?
Yes.
How many hours a boot camp is, and if you are able to answer questions in real time.
Oh, yes. Okay, great. These are great questions. Everybody, please listen, because I want you to hear this. It is live interactive. This is not a recording. It's just like this. So imagine over 30 strategies to build your business fundability. And after every strategy, we have a Q&A just like this. Ask Alexa Marie. It's literally just like this, covering every single strategy in great detail in a Q&A. So absolutely. So the next one is, yes, if you go and you want recordings, you can actually, that's the gold pass, event pass, and that you can actually start watching November's boot camp from recordings before the December boot camp, or you can take your 97 pass and advance it to January or February's. We have them every 5 to 6 weeks. So yes, you can if you can't attend, then you can advance it. If you get the recordings, you can watch them at your own pace. And I'm telling you guys, I have there's 10 to 15 people who are repeat every single boot camp, because you cannot. How many of you were kind of overwhelmed or felt like it was a fire hose just in the last hour of change, right? This is 2 days worth of fire hose. So I want you to be able to get the recordings and capture. That's the gold event pass. But all silver event passes, the 97, you can advance that to the next month if you wish. No cost, no additional charge.
Perfect. Yes, and questions are answered just like how they're being answered right now. So yes, you can get your questions answered in the boot camp. Yes. All right, next one. How far back does LexisNexis go? Like how far can they report back?
10 years. Up to 10 years. And so bankruptcies fall off after 10 years. It's traditional credit reporting, but home ownership, like that you've owned a home, goes back forever. Auto ownership, auto registrations go back forever. Derogatory accounts, like a bankruptcy, liens and judgments, are 7 to 10 years.
Alrighty, how can you find out what exactly is in the credit reporting database for your personal?
Go to annualcreditreport.com. annualcreditreport.com, and until April of 2022, they're offering these. These are raw data files. More on this in the boot camp. These are raw data files. But if you want true and living, absolutely true scoring, you want to go to myfico.com. myfico.com, and you're going to see 28 lender scores and a FICO graded credit report. myfico.com.
Perfect. For non-recourse loans, how do we build the business credit or profile so our personal guarantee doesn't matter?
As I said, a personal guarantee is a myth from pre-2008, you guys. If you want $100,000 business line of credit, you're going to be personally on the line for it. I don't see that changing ever in the future. Commercially, if you're doing $5 to $10 million a year for 5 to 10 years worth of documentable history, then you can get some, then you're on a whole new level. That's true commercial credit, and you can get that non-PG, non-personally guaranteed. But up to $1 million, you're on the hook for everything. There is no such thing. See, this is all language, you guys, from pre-2008. That was 12 years ago, and it's still the language we've been told and taught and lied to about. The language that says, I want to build up my personal business profile so that I don't need PG. That is language that's coming from operators that can only deliver trade lines, that can only deliver retail accounts and vendor accounts, not one single business loan or line of credit. It just doesn't happen. But that's what we keep being taught, you guys.
Okay. Now this one's about naming your entities. So what if we work in finance as an employee? Does that count as a trigger, or only if I'm the owner of a business? Is it only the word that's in the name or the whole occupation?
First of all, the first thing they look at when the Secretary of State looks at your application, they literally go, they look for these words, and then they look up business codes, because they are responsible to the federal government to report what types of new businesses started. Well, most of us don't even know about these codes, so they just use the words in your name to pick random codes and publish those to the federal government. Well, they also get published, the same database publishes to your lenders, who look up those codes and say, Thank you for playing. I'm not going to fund you. So it's not your occupation. It's only business names. And yes, I'll answer this up front. It's relatively simple to amend your articles of incorporation or organization to change the name to not be one of those trigger words.
Perfect. During the boot camp, will you go into details on business line underwriting and what amounts you could qualify for?
Yes, it's awesome. We actually go through, I actually do a breakdown of what an algorithm actually does, how it measures it, and how it forecasts in the future to approve you. So yeah, there's some really cool, and you'll also, the fundability index that is part of your homework before the boot camp is actually going to grade you based on lender guidelines, and you're going to know where you need the work and what to really you need to pay attention to the whole boot camp, but you'll know the areas where you need the most help and how we solve for that.
Alrighty, I'll answer. We'll take 2 or 3 more. Do hard money lenders also use this system for lending?
Hard money lenders are more deal based than they are. That's why I said if somebody says we use Fico to evaluate as part of your underwriting, then those are the hard money lenders I prefer, because they're not just basing it on the deal, they're basing it on your reputation as well.
Perfect, thank you. And someone just has a little bit more, they want a little bit more knowledge on how to get their kids or their family members that are under 18 into the boot camp for free.
Oh, it's simple. You buy your favorite ticket, whether it's the 97 is one-time view only. The gold and the platinum meets with me. And the gold gets the entire body of recordings. Plus, you get to for as long as you're a member, you get to come to boot camps forever. Bottom line is that whatever ticket you do, you just buy the ticket, you go, and I'm just allowing you to invite them in a watch party to be able to watch. And now if they're at college or whatever, you can share with them. This is a one-time offer only, guys. It's the honor system. You can share the Zoom login because it's a Zoom call. You can share the Zoom login for them, whether they're at college or out wherever they are. I'm allowing you to invite your blood relatives under 21 and under to join with you. But that's how you do it. You will share the login for people who are not in the room with you, and you'll share your screen for those who are.
All righty. Last one. Why should someone not want the business credit under a sole proprietorship? First of all,
A sole proprietorship has no tax advantages. It's literally on your 1040 Schedule C. There are no tax advantages for compared to an LLC. And in the boot camp, we're actually going to discuss a type of entity, a funding entity. Imagine you creating an entity that brings in all the funding, and then you lend that money to your deals, whatever it is that you're doing. So you have a separate funding entity that is not your real estate company, your notes company, your private lending company. You lend the money to them. This company up here, we call it a QFE, Qualified Fundable Entity. This QFE is highly fundable in the eyes of banks. Your real estate companies are not. And we discussed this entire process. You cannot do that as a sole proprietor.
all right. Perfect. Thank you so much. We had some personal questions that came through the Q&A. Try to come to the boot camp, maybe purchase that upper level so you get that one-on-one with Merrill. But that was excellent. We're so happy to have you back again, Merrill. We learned again so much. I'm looking forward to learning so much more with you. So Alexa, I don't know if you're there, but we're going to close this thing out. Merrill, do you have any last words?
No, please, you guys, if you can't make this one, just get your ticket and then talk to Sky is here as well. Sky, say hi. If you have any questions, Sky is our boot camp director, and she will make sure you guys get taken care of. Sky, you want to say hi?
Yes, hello. Yeah, I'm Sky. I'm boot camp coordinator, and I will be there at the boot camp itself as well to produce and moderate. So if you guys have any questions about the boot camp, whether it's the schedule, the different event passes, all of that information is on the website. So just go to that tiny.cc/Bria. Make sure that Bria is in all caps. It is case sensitive.
Yes.
So follow the link that we've been putting in the chat. And then if there's anything that is not answered on that website that you have questions about, then feel free to reach out to me. My email is bootcamp@getfundable.com, or my phone number is on that website, the tiny.cc/Bria.
Thank you so much, Sky. I just saw Rose Allure is here. She's one of a graduate from years ago. And so Rose, so glad to have you here with us. She tells her clients they have to go to the boot camp before they become her client, because she needs them to know before they get started so that they're climbing the right tree, right? So so glad that I'm just randomly going through the chat, and it's great to see you, Rose.
Awesome. Alrighty, Merrill, thank you so much for your time. I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving, and
Yes.
we can't wait to see you. Yes, we can't wait to see you at our upcoming events. We're going to have our monthly meeting December 1st. We're probably going to have some special announcements before then. So again, stay tuned. I hope everybody enjoys their Thanksgiving weekend, and we can't wait to kick off 2022. December's around the corner, and we're going to be seeing each other in person in January. So hopefully you'll be able to meet Merrill in the flesh sometime in 2022.
Very good.
Alrighty.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.